On the 9th day of Vlogmas, Spenelli brought to you my November wrap-up and December TBR. Okay, let's talk straight. I had a terrible reading month in November. I experienced a huge reading slump. I truly did not feel like reading a darn thing. Now I did read a few books in November, most of which were audiobooks to and from work. So that to me was a little bit easier. I tried to get motivated in, nonfiction November, and I did read a few books in there, and a few of them were quite good. But overall, I experienced a huge reading slump. So if you're new here, I hope you stick around, hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell, and tell me in the comments, what do you do when you experience a reading slump? Do you try different books? Are you a mood reader? Do you just kind of wait until you're miraculously, cured of your slump? Tell me what you do when you are experiencing a reading slump. So let's talk about the books that I did read in November. Now, the one physical book that I read in November was Charles Heathcote's An Heir to Murder. Now, I just did a review of this book not too long ago. I'll put that in the description above and share that with you. I gave this one a 3-star review. I liked it very much. I thought for a first in a series, it really starts the series off with a great note. You get some great characters. This book, not to get too involved in it because I do have that review out, but there are 2 main characters that we're following, one of which is a 20-some-year-old social worker character, and then a retired police detective, and the 2 of them kind of get entangled in a murder mystery in a small town in the North English countryside. So we kind of get into their ins and outs and the dynamic that they start to build, and they solve a few murders. So that was quite good. If you are familiar, Charlie is a fellow booktuber here on the interweb, so I will link his channel below as well, so you can check him out. This is a new series that he started, which he will be coming back to soon, as he is finishing a different novel in another series that he has, which is the Our Doris series, which I'm hoping to get to soon because I've heard a lot of really great things about that. So once he finishes that next novel for that series, he'll jump back to this world. So again, very, very good setup here, and I'm excited to continue on in this series. So the rest of the books that I read in November are all audiobooks, and that totaled 5 audiobooks, 3 of which were nonfiction and 2 fiction books, which were actually parts of a series that I was reading. So the first 3-star book that I read was 10 Days in a Madhouse by Nellie Bly. Now, this is a book set back in the early, I believe, 1900s, and it is about a journalist, Nellie Bly, who ends up actually getting herself committed, under a guise, of course, to a New York institution where it had been kind of known that there was mistreatment to their patients. What really caught my attention was how easy it was for her to be committed. Quite honestly, all she had to do was pretend like she kind of didn't know where she was and that she lost her memory, and was acting crazy, making people feel uncomfortable, essentially. So that really caught my attention right away. What I would say that I thought that this book lacked is more information. This was very short. I believe it was only 3.5 hours long. So I just felt like it lacked a lot of more details, more explanation of what happened after it was all kind of brought to light. I feel like the very end, where it's described of how she ended up coming out of the madhouse and kind of bringing this all to the courts, it was just quick. It was kind of almost like an epilogue. It seemed too short, and I really wish that there would have been more insight there, because the story is fascinating. The next 3-star nonfiction book that I read in November was Confessions of a Bookseller by Shawn Bythell. And this book was so fun to listen to because the narrator was great. But also it almost reminds me of like a coffee table book in that you could have it close by and kind of read little bits and pieces of it at a time without really needing to string it all together. Essentially, this is set up as almost like a journal with journal entries. It even goes as far as stating how many customers were in the bookstore that day, how many online sales there were, how many online orders were found, and how much money they had brought in that day. So I thought those details were really interesting because you're kind of like seeing how it ebbs and flows. And it was funny at times to hear him talk about certain customers that would come in or certain things that they would ask for. It was just really entertaining. So I thought that the writing style was comical. It was well put together. Definitely something I would like to have like as a coffee table kind of book where I can, I just need a quick little thing to make me smile and just pick it up and read that certain day. Pick the day that, is today and read that, and that would be my fun little thing for the day. So I thought that was a very nice book. The next 2 3-star books are actually part of a series. Now, if you recall, earlier in the year, I was really obsessed with the C.J. Archer series, the Glass and Steel series, which is about India Steele and Matthew Glass, who are kind of investigators, or they become that essentially. And this is in late 1800s England. Think about the time of Jack the Ripper, that time era, and they're investigating certain crimes that are happening, and it revolves around magics. And it's really interesting. And if you recall, in the beginning of the year, I was obsessed with these books. The characters in these books are awesome. I just love it, and it just gripping me on the edge of my seat. And at the time, I only got through the first 4 books, and it's a 10-book series. And my Hoopla account, where I get all my audiobooks, only had the first 4. So I was completely bummed. They didn't have it at my library. I couldn't really find them, so I had to kind of pause on the series. Well, lo and behold, I open up my Hoopla one day, and boom! The rest of the series is available. I could not believe it. So a little bit out of my slump as far as reading an audiobook, I did end up reading the next 2 in the series, which was book 5 and 6. 5 being the Convent's Secret, and then the 6 being the Ink Master's Silence. Now, both of these books I gave 3s, and I typically give these books higher scores, but I just felt like these were the middle children of the series. Now, did I get information that I needed? Yes. Did I get information that I wanted? Yes. However, I just felt like I'm just waiting to get to the end at this point. I'm just wanting to know how certain things will, be uncovered. And specifically at the end of the Convent's Secret, I got very upset on how something happened because it was completely anticlimactic. Now, okay, this particular thing, which I don't want to tell you because it's a spoiler, has been something we've been waiting for since book 1. And it was just kind of bloop. What? So I was kind of upset with that. So definitely not more than a 3 stars. Still, like I said, like the book, it's still evolving well. Certain things are still happening. New things are still happening, which brings you, or brings us into the Ink Master's Silence, which I feel like was a little bit better than the Convent Secret, but still I feel like is a 3-star for me. Again, the middle children of the series, kind of that, I don't know if that's the right way to even say it. I'm sure there's a bunch of middle children out there that are gonna be like, I can't believe you just said that. I'm the oldest child, so. Anywho, the last book that I read in November is a 4-star review, and that I gave to Absolutely Everything, which is a history of the Earth, dinosaurs, and there's a bunch of different other things in the title. I did a rapid review on it. I did really like this. I'm pretty sure it was a kid's book, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a really great way to learn about things that have happened since basically primordial ooze time frame. So it was really cool to hear about things that I have already heard about and things that I didn't really know about in history and in the evolution of Earth. That was really cool to hear and understand that. It was really great. So I really thoroughly enjoyed that. And I do believe that he is coming out with another book. I'm not quite sure when, but I will probably be trying to pick up that one as well because it was quite well. And again, that was absolutely everything. And that was by Christopher Lloyd, which the only reason why I picked up that book is because I literally thought it was the Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future. Not at all. It's a completely different person. And that's okay because, like I said, it was quite good. Now, you might wonder, Danny, did you get out of your slump? OMG, have I got out of my slump. Like immediately after Thanksgiving, I was just picking out what I wanted to read in December, which is this big old pile of books, which, I mean, looks pretty darn big and maybe overwhelming. Well, let me tell you, I started to read some of these books and was immediately like just back in the game. Now these are like your fluff books, Christmas romance books. There's not a lot to do. There's not a lot to think about. And that has been perfect for me. So let me tell you about what I have here. I'm going to start off with the books that I have already read in December, which is pretty amazing because it's 4 books, which is awesome. I'm not going to go through a wrap up with these because I'm going to save that for later, but I'm going to tell you what I've read. I've read Debbie Maycomer's The Perfect Christmas, and what I love about these books is they actually have bonus books in the back. So the book isn't actually this full book here. There's actually a bonus book. So this one has The Perfect Christmas, and then it has a bonus story which is called Can This Be Christmas? So I've read both of those, and I'll talk about those in another video. I also read Debbie Maycomer's Call Me Mrs. Miracle. Loved this, by the way. And then this includes a bonus story called The Christmas Basket. So that's another one that I read. Christy Lewis had a productivity sprint with Casey at Lost in a Bookcase and Victoria over at A Musical Bookworm. And while I was reading with them, I happened to just read this little guy. It's a nice little book. And you might have seen this in one of my vlogs, but this is The Christmas Box by Richard Paul Evans. I was able to get through this. This was cute as well, and I'll talk about that again in the future. I know you're probably like, tell me now. And then I also picked up and read Debbie Maycomer's Mrs. Miracle Christmas, which you saw I already did a review of this. And I was just, blown away by how happy I was to be reading again and how happy all of these books were making me and how quickly I was reading these books. So I feel like my slump has been broken and I'm like enjoying reading these books, even though, like I said before, even though I'm far past my Goodreads goal, I'm just like enjoying the moment, enjoying just being part of these stories. So what I have left for this month, so I still have this little pile and I'm going to get to them. I've just started reading Debbie Maycomer's Mr. Miracle. So this is kind of goes along with the Mrs. Miracle. It's kind of like it's like an angel kind of story. And you might be asking, Danny, why do you have so many Debbie Maycomers? I get a Christmas book from my mom every year, and it's usually a Debbie Maycomer because they're very nice. They're just lovely stories that just make you feel good. So I usually get that for Christmas, and I love getting those books. So I also have Debbie Maycomer's Christmas Tree Lane. So it's 1225 Christmas Tree Lane, and it has a bonus story called Let It Snow. So that one will be on my list very shortly. I also have Debbie Maycomer's Christmas in Cedar Cove. This one does not look like it has a bonus story, and that's okay. So we have that one yet. This year I want to read A Christmas Carol. I've never actually read Dickens, A Christmas Carol, Charles Dickens. I have to tell you, I think this is like not the full version. I feel like this is like a kid's version because it just, I feel like the way this looks, I don't know that this is the full version. I'll have to look it up. Because even down here it says with a foreword by Newbery Honor author Nancy Farmer. So I almost wonder if this is like a children's kind of, not adaptation, but, you know, a different edition, which is perfectly fine. I'll just have to read it again someday. But I do want to read that this year, so I'll be reading that sometime soon. And then the last Christmas story that I currently own, because I wanted to read all Christmas stories this year, I have Debbie Maycomer's A Cedar Cove Christmas. Now, didn't I just say that? Do I have two of the same? Oh no, so this is Christmas in Cedar Cove, and this one is A Cedar Cove Christmas. I hope this isn't the same book. Let's take a look. What's it about? Oh, so this is... Okay, so this is first drop in at 5B Poppy Lane, where you'll get a chance to visit with Helen Shelton, her granddaughter Ruth, and Ruth's husband Paul. And this one is mother-to-be Mary Jo Wise arrives in Cedar Cove on Christmas Eve, searching for her baby's father. Ooh! So yeah. So they're different, but seemingly seems the same. They're just a little bit different. But anywho, I will be giving reviews of the books as I go this month so that you can kind of get an idea of what I'm reading. And if you're wanting to pick it up before the Christmas season is over, then you're able to read a good Christmas book. And then, of course, Laura from Book Bubbler and I are finishing London. And as you can see, I've got a lot of annotation here. But look at, we only have the last chapter to go. We've been saving it. So I'm on 1088. So I only have about that much left. So we're going to finish that this month. And then we get to pick our next book for next year to buddy read all year. So we're excited about that. So that's my wrap up and TBR. I can't tell you how good I felt when I hit that, you know, just diving into these books. I feel like it was almost a switch had flipped for me. And I can tell you, like, I was really starting to worry about myself. But so far, so good. I've already read, like I said, about 4 books, but really there's a couple of stories in there that kind of count, I guess, as a novella, I guess you could say. So yeah, tell me again in the comments, how do you get over reading slumps? I'd love to know, because if I ever hit one again and it's in the middle of June, I don't want to have to look to Christmas books in order to break it. So tell me in the comments below, how do you break your reading slump? Tell me, what Christmas books are you currently reading, if any? If you don't read Christmas books, what books do you read in December? Okay, well, until tomorrow, I hope you're reading something great. I hope you're taking care and staying safe. And you know how it goes. Happy reading. Bye!